started for today. I'd like to make this a very interactive session. So this session is developing clinical study budgets for sponsors. Again, my name is Mary Vize, and I am your instructor for today. A little bit about me. I am a certified public accountant with over 15 years of experience in clinical research finance at a large academic medical center. I have over 30 years of financial and auditing experience. I am certified in healthcare research compliance as well as healthcare compliance. And my skill sets include a full complement of clinical research billing processes and the impacts of organizations' health systems as well as their revenue cycle. So our focus today is our study budgets and that financial aspects of those study budgets. So let's go on and talk about the learning objectives. Today's learning objectives are to discuss the elements of fair market value, and I would love to hear everyone's opinion about that because that's something that is very much a hot topic. Review key questions and terms to address prior to developing the budget, and then we're going to review techniques and tools to use in budget development at a sponsor or a site level. Your handout that you should have received from Lindsay should include your recruitment planning tools, feasibility assessment tools and template, as well as a sample site budget template. So let's get started with the term fair market value. We want to define that and we want to understand how is it assessed. So let's take a moment to share what you know about fair market value. So using the chat, give me your thoughts around fair market value. Have you heard the term used before? How does it impact the budget development for a clinical trial? And I'll give you a few minutes to type that in the chat, or you can actually unmute. I can unmute you if you raise your hand, and I am happy to have a discussion about that. So I have one participant saying I haven't heard it before. I have others saying they've heard it before. For those of you who've heard the term before, in what context have you heard it? And if you could describe what it means to you, that would be great. I see one participant has said a dollar amount designated for services that are comparable to others performed for these services. Yep, that's exactly right, Maria. That is pretty much the definition of it. But also, we have to remember that it's defined by regions as well. Any other thoughts around that? Give you a few minutes to type your responses. I see fair market value is the price paid to a study or site patient's stipend. I think Sunshine Act might be applicable here. I can't be as excessive. It can't be an excessive amount, or it could be a bias of a study data. Yes, that's true. It is a term that comes into consideration in the cross-border trials. And then there's another one that says price agreed on between the buyer and the seller. These are all very good answers and all very applicable for today's discussion. So let's go on and let's give you the definition as it pertains from Webster, as well as the Internal Revenue and pharmaceutical companies. So as you can see, it's a little variation between the two, but there's an underlying theme under each of them. Webster says that fair market value is a price at which a buyer and seller with a reasonable knowledge of a pertinent facts and not acting under any compulsion are willing to do business. The Internal Revenue says this is the price of a service between a willing buyer and a willing seller, neither being under any compulsion to buy or sell, and both having a reasonable knowledge of the relevant facts. A pharmaceutical company, on the other hand, says that fair market value is a legal term that tries to define the appropriateness of payments when there are conflicts or at least multiple justifications for those payments. And last but not least, from an enforcement perspective, fair market value is really shorthand for legitimacy. Legitimate business relationship that provides identifiable value to a company and not just an opportunity to influence subscribers. So if you think about each of those definitions, speak to the willing buyer and the willing participant, and making sure that we're not doing any type of undue influence, and we have minimal conflicts around this. Let's dive deeper into what fair market value is and how it relates to clinical research payments. It's the payment for clinical research work that must be reasonable and meet industry standards. That is, like a patient care charge billable to a third party, so you want to make sure that you're still charging the same amount. And each line item or fee should be reasonably based on several factors, including geographic location and that level of expertise of the individuals. Some sponsors look at the expertise of a physician to justify their payment terms. So they have maybe a tiered system. They have a care maybe seen as a key knowledge leader. And that tier rating can be used based on the review of a CV or other criteria as established by the sponsor. But typically, when you have a physician that's an expert, you want to look at their level of expertise. Are they well-renowned in that area? Or what is their normal rate for that geographic location, as well as their actual knowledge base.